Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the weekly MMA Cycles Market Update. This is Gianni DePoce, your host. It's great to be back with you. We had a very action-packed week with respect to geocosmics. A couple very key signatures. We had Sun square Pluto on the 20th, the same day as Taurus season began. And then we had a solar eclipse unfold, and that was at 29 degrees Aries. So this is very interesting because, obviously Aries is god of war. Geopolitical tensions are high right now. There's reports coming out today that Ukraine may join NATO as a member. Obviously there's some details to be worked out on that front. There's tensions going on in Taiwan between them and China. So that's something to keep an eye on. But obviously we have to take all of that with a grain of salt because Mercury just turned retrograde today. So let me go ahead and share my screen. We can look and see how markets are reacting here. Whenever we are in a Mercury retrograde period, it's not uncommon to see indecision in markets or range-bound markets, but it's also a characteristic of Mercury retrograde to see false moves in one direction or the other. So we're coming out of this intense geocosmic period now where we know that highs or lows can form. It looks like so far we formed a high. That was last Friday on the 14th in the Dow. Prices are coming down, but really it looks like a benign correction of the sorts, not really anything to be all that panicky about. But as we look forward into the week ahead, there aren't any major geocosmic signatures aside from, some lunar aspects and whatnot. So we're kind of going through an eye of the storm, if you will, as we look forward ahead into the month of May. Mid-May is going to be action-packed, obviously, with Jupiter ingressing into the sign of Taurus and squaring Pluto on the same day. And then we're going to have that T-square with Jupiter at the apex and Mars opposite Pluto. So that's going to be a very intense time in the next month. But as we look at the NASDAQ here, leading a little bit to the downside, but really all stocks have been pretty range bound this week. Right now they're going out, looks like they're going to be going out near the lows of the week, but we didn't take out the lows of last week yet. So that is something that bulls can rest on for the moment. Let's take a look at the 10-year yield on the Treasury. Kind of just hanging out here, really not much of a move. We do note this, multi month consolidation that's been unfolding rather. And, it really comes down to how we break down the phases to the 5 to 7 year cycles in the T-note market. We talk about this at length in the monthly cycles report, as well as the monthly ETF report, which we analyze TLT, the long-term Treasury ETF. So if you want to know what we're thinking on the long-term cycle side and how the phases break down, would recommend you check that out, especially the ETF report, which was just published earlier this week. Let's go ahead and take a look at gold mining stocks coming down into what could turn out to be a low at any time here, GDX. Coming into this year, we talked about the possibility of precious metals doing well with Jupiter transiting through the sign of Aries because the sun is exalted in Aries and the sun rules precious metals. Well, we only have about 3 weeks left in this transit. So does that spell the end of this period of outperformance from precious metals? That remains to be seen. But when it comes to the cycle breakdown, it does look pretty good in the short term. So I want to take a look at USO, the crude oil ETF. A little bit of a rebound here. It's really important from a technical standpoint that we don't see a close below this bullish breakaway gap that unfolded on March 31st. That coincided with the production cut by OPEC, which is totally representative of Saturn going through the sign of Pisces. Saturn can lead to supply issues. Pisces rules crude oil. That was something we talked about at length. So if we're forming a higher low here, we would expect crude oil or USO to at least test this high from about a week ago. And if that takes out, if that clears, then look out above, because I think we're going to see a big run in crude oil and a tremendous increase in inflation expectations going into the end of the year. Now, we talked about, in the past, Jupiter being in the sign of Taurus in the next, that begins in a couple of weeks, and Saturn in the sign of Pisces, how that could turn into a very inflationary macroeconomic environment through the what could turn out to be shortages in the energy market, through Saturn and Pisces, but Jupiter and Taurus, that's bullish for stocks. I mean, Jupiter brings demand, can lead to growth, and Taurus is a sign that rules equity markets. So that's something I think we need to monitor closely over the next couple of weeks. I want to take a look at the US dollar ETF, still hanging out in this range bound manner, but I think, sticking with the whole idea of Jupiter and Taurus, this is something we need to keep a close watch on, as the primary cycle between the euro and the dollar continues to mature, given the weight, the euro's tremendous weighting in the dollar basket. That could be a tailwind for the US dollar. Remember, Jupiter going into Taurus. Taurus also rules currencies, so could be a big demand for the world reserve currency building up in the next couple of weeks. I want to take a look at cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin falling into a potential trading cycle low here. Want to see the formation of a higher low with respect to the trend. And if we can take out that high from last week, it would look very good. But I also want to share one of our key geocosmic studies, which I had discovered some time ago in the Far for the Galactic Trader program. And the study goes that whenever Venus is in the sign of Taurus, we tend to see an higher than normal probability of 20% or 20% or greater moves in the crypto market. So Venus ingressed into the sign of Taurus on March 16th, and then she left Taurus on the 11th. So if we go from this low here to the 11th, we saw an appreciation of about 26%. So that satisfies the criteria for our study of looking for a 20% or greater move in Bitcoin when Venus transits through the sign of Taurus. So now that we're in Gemini, I might see a little more volatility, and so far that's unfolded as such. So that takes care of all the charts that I wanted to review with you today. Thank you so much for watching. I do have a couple of brief announcements. Next week, we will have the publications of the monthly addendum report written by MMTA graduate Puyan Zulfargarnia. Then we also have the monthly grains report written by farmer and MMTA graduate Wyatt Fellows. And then, of course, in just over a month from now, at the beginning of June, we will have our live in-person investment retreat that will be run simultaneously with the course 2 of the Merriman Market Timing Academy. So that will be held in Troy, Michigan. I encourage you to check it out. It's going to be a great event, great camaraderie, a good chance to meet Ray and myself and other students in the MMTA program. So if you have any questions, feel free to send us an email, customerservice@mmacycles.com, or visit our website at www.mmacycles.com. So that's all for now. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back same time, same place next week with a special guest. Kat Powell is going to be joining us. We're going to have a nice interview with her. She's one of the original graduates of the MMTA program over a decade ago. So definitely don't want to miss that, and hope to see you next week. Thank you.